Okay. Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, November 17th, 2020. This is the virtual special meeting of the Commissioners of the City of Rehoboth Beach. Call this meeting to order at 3:00 p.m. Thank you all for being here. We'll next do roll call. Commissioner Jay Legree.
Here.
Commissioner Patrick Gossett.
Here.
Commissioner Susan Gay.
Here.
Commissioner Richard Byrne.
Here.
Commissioner Ed Stranowski.
Present.
And the mayor is here. We have a quorum. Commissioner Pat Caluzzi is unable to attend. So we do have a quorum. We're able to formally conduct business today. Thank you for being here. I have received no correspondence on any of these topics. I do have Carol Everhart of the Rehoboth Beach, Dewey Beach Chamber of Commerce signed up to speak today, and we'll call on you, Carol, at the appropriate times. The purpose of this special meeting is threefold, as noted in the agenda. Discussion of bid results for 2 capital improvement projects, as well as continued discussion for alternate dining opportunities during the pandemic conditions. With that, we're going to start with item A, discussion of bid results obtained for the water meter replacement program. Can you explain a little what the project is, and then we'll get into contract bid details. Thank you, Kevin.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. We opened bids recently on the FY21 water meter replacement contract. As you'll recall, probably last year was our first year we tried to do a bulk water meter replacement contract because so many of our water meters throughout our system are on the 20 to 25 year range. Or older. So doing mass replacements. This year we chose the Breezewood area. As you can see on the map, and it's roughly 160 plus or minus water meters to be replaced out there. We had 4 bidders respond this year. If you'll recall, last year we only had 1. This year we had 4, so we like the competition. The apparent low bidder was R&C Contractors, LLC, out of Milton. You'll also recall that when we went back through the budget scrub, because of the suspension of some of the CIP work over the summer, we originally had $500,000 in for the budget for this year, but as a result of the COVID and the delays because of the revenue, then we revised, you guys authorized the revision of that budget to $360,000. So our idea would be, as we did last year, low bidder, but then just reduce the quantities because it's a line item contract. So we'll do fewer than we had originally anticipated, but we'll stay within the $360,000 budgeted amount. So what we're going to ask you to analyze and then hopefully vote next Friday, or this coming Friday, to approve the award of that contract to R&C Contractors in the amount of $359,801.87. And like I said, that gets us, I think it was 163 meters and or meter pits, which will go a long way to working off our backlog of old and obsolete, outdated meters.
And so that'll be on Friday's agenda. Any questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Gossett?
Are these the meters? Are they be able to be read remotely, or is this still need an individual to physically read the meter?
Oh, it still requires an individual, but these will enable us to drive the truck with the laptop in the truck and take the reading in an automated fashion, not transmitting back to City Hall or to some base station, but you can do it quasi-remotely because you don't have to go out, pull the covers off each individual meter.
Okay,
so
thank you.
Drive down the street, read them. Some that they're obstinate, you have to go out and touch with the wand, but for the most part, they're automated to a degree.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gay?
Yeah, thanks. Kevin, I just wanted to ask you on the range of costs, as you say, there were a lot of bidders this year. I mean, there's quite a spread between the lowest and the highest. can you attribute that to anything other than just some places are more, came in higher than others, or what?
So, exactly, Commissioner. If you look at just the name of the high bidder, I forget that, Commercial Turf or something,
Yes.
they're not a utilities contractor, they're a landscaper. So
Okay.
they must have had some downtime on a backhoe or something and want to get in the water meter business. So I would just throw that one out to begin with.
Okay.
And then the others are in the ballpark, I would say.
Okay. And then my other question is, I know we scaled back this year because of the budget. So that means the next time we do them, we'll have to pick up some of those Breezewoods again, but it's not, Breezewoods won't be finished this time, right?
That's correct. We won't get all of them that we had hoped to do, but, you know, over the course of the years, as they fail, we do individual replacements with our in-house team. So some of those will get done probably with the in-house, but you're correct. In general, we would look to add whatever we miss in Breezewood this year, we would want to do as part of our program for next
That's
year.
gonna be for next year. Okay, and then sort of along with that, remind me, last year was North Shores, right?
That's correct.
When when are we on the docket to have them in the city?
So the ones in town we're trying to do mainly with our in-house team as they have time and need arises. Our focus initially was to get the out-of-town folks caught back up.
Okay, thanks.
Thank
That's all I
you.
have.
Commissioner Legree?
Kevin, are these meters, I know they're capable of being read remotely. Do they have the capability of being tied to a central station or in any way be monitored along those lines?
These individually, no. I think the system, you know, if we wanted to invest the infrastructure to build the receiving station, and maybe Max can chime in as well, with what would be needed to be changed if we wanted to go to a central monitoring station.
So
Just to clarify, these can be read by a central base station, but at this point, until we get more changed out with the correct radios, it's not worth it to put the base station in.
Good.
That was commentary by Max Hamby of our IT department. Any other questions? If not, if you don't mind, we'll defer public comment till after the next item. You can do 2 for 1, Carol, if you like. No more questions. We will go to item B on our agenda, is discussion of bid results obtained for the Delaware Avenue Comfort Station project. Again, Kevin, if you would introduce that project, what the scope is, and then tell us about the bid details.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. We did open the bid opening on the Delaware Avenue Comfort Station last week. This will take a little bit more discussion to kind of work through the intricacies. You'll recall that's kind of a schematic on the left of what it would look like or what it will look like, and then basically the floor plan on the right. So you'll note 2 ADA accessible restroom facilities there on the left side of that drawing, with a central mechanical room for hot water, and then changing stations, 1 accessible changing station on that same side of the building, and then blocked a little bit, but I think it's 6 changing stations on the Funland side of the building as well. And I think there's 2 over there, or 3 that were ADA accessible, and then the 1 changing room on the north side of the building. And then you can see basically extended the sides of it as you're looking at it from the front. And there's another little 3D kind of view of it that will help you kind of visualize what it is we're trying to do. So we opened the bids. This will get confusing because if you recall, back in the original budget, we budgeted $250,000 for the project. And then as we got into the design, the cost, it became apparent to us, the designer and myself, that the price was going to go up because of what we had to do with some of the structural things, with respect to the CMU walls and the footers that would be needed for those walls. And then the final knife in the back was the price of building materials, which has just skyrocketed since COVID. So put those 2 together, and we're way above our budget from last year, But it's very close to what our engineer's estimate was as we were making those changes. And I think we did this estimate about a month ago. So it got most of the price increase due to the COVID, plus also took into consideration the expanded structural work we had to do for the footing. So with that said, I think we have a couple of options. One, obviously, it's a lot more than we had budgeted for, but we have good bids. I think those three bids are very good as far as competitiveness. We certainly know Delmarva Builders. They built our parking structure or parking building in the back, so we felt good about all that. It is more expensive though, and I guess one option would be to find that money, which I know Bert would be able to do for us, and go ahead and execute that contract. Or defer it, into next fiscal year, rebudget it, reprogram it for next year. Or I really don't think we could downscope it enough to get it anywhere close to the budget based upon what we had to do during the design. So, always being the optimist and knowing Bert has money tucked away for rainy days, here's a rainy day I'm going to ask him for. That we would ask you at the next meeting then to vote to approve the award of that contract for the Delaware Avenue Comfort Station to Delaware Veterans Builders in the amount of $397,100.
Thank you, Kevin. I have a couple questions. One is, do you know that if we eliminated all the changing rooms on the south side, do you have any idea what that would do to the budget?
Yes.
Because that would still leave one changing room on the north side, correct?
Correct. They're about equal in cost to do each side of the work, each phase of that work. So right side, left side. Obviously, the restrooms are a little bit more because it has some of the plumbing and the like. And then you'd put whatever mauve would now you'd just be spreading over. So I think it was 180 and 140-ish. Those were kind of the breakouts, as I recall, the last time the architect and I were going through it. So for the budgeted amount, we could certainly do one side.
Well, my recollection with the recommendations from the Boardwalk and Beach Committee that I chaired at that time was the focus was on family restrooms. And obviously on the north side there, that's accomplishing that. The changing rooms, while they were somewhat enthusiastic about it, it was not absolutely critical that they get in there. Now, if there's an economy of scale, then obviously doing them both at the same time would be worthwhile. One of my interests that I keep harping on is that between the family restrooms here and the proposed family restrooms at the Baltimore Avenue restroom facility that's in the design phase, one of my requirements and the Boardwalk and Beach Committee's requirements is that at least one or more of those family restrooms be winterized or available year round. In other words, they have heat and is that going to be true for the Delaware Avenue restrooms, family restrooms, and or the Baltimore Avenue family restrooms?
This facility was not thought to be year-round. So because of the Baltimore Avenue would take such major renovations, we would do that one as all year-round.
So we would at least realize one or two family restrooms that would be available year-round, but it means waiting another year or so to realize restroom improvements at the Baltimore Avenue facility. All righty, very good. Very good. Thank you very much. Commissioner Jay Legree?
Kevin, how much are we losing by going to one side and then 2 years, 3 years down the road, put in the south side on the Delaware Avenue? That's my first question. Any savings by doing them both at the same time? Both the south side and both the north side, which has the restrooms that we want, and the south side, which has the changing rooms that we want. How much?
Clearly, there's a cost savings, just by the economy of scale, doing it all at one time. There's only one mobilization fee. There's only one set of permits. There's only one set of bonds. So you can get all that done and into the one. Plus, there's some efficiency of construction efficiencies when you're kind of doing it all at one time. To
So-
be able to put a dollar figure on that would be pretty tough right now. I can certainly do that for Friday.
Yeah,
But, you know, MOG fee is going to be 25, 30,000 right there. So that would be one. You got to re-advertise, you know, the bid. So another 5 to 10,000 to break the design apart and then advertise each one separately. So there's certainly some cost efficiencies saved by doing them at the same time.
Yeah.
Commissioner Byrne?
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, were you, Commissioner Legree, you want to finish?
Now, I'll save my other question for in a minute. Yeah, I'll save it for in a minute.
All right, Commissioner Byrne?
Dick, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Kevin, thanks for all your good work on this. Just to clarify, we're using terms, family rooms, family accessible rooms, and so on. I assume all those words are interchangeable and mean the same thing. And then, do they meet the ADA accessible requirements?
Yes, they do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dick. Commissioner Gossett?
Yes, just curious, how was the need for the quantity of those changing rooms determined? How did we come up with the number? I think it was 6 that was shown, if I remember, but how did we determine that was the need?
It was basically done by space available.
Okay,
So we wanted to get some family ones in there. So we just tried to fit based upon the footprint that we had available to us.
thank you.
Just my recollection being on the Boardwalk and Beach Committee was that fewer was acceptable. I don't think we gave a number, but I know we didn't envision, how many? Six units there. So I think they could possibly be reduced according to the recommendations of the Beach and Boardwalk Committee of a year ago. Commissioner Sharnowski?
Thank you, Mayor. As you'll probably all recall, I questioned whether this was really a priority for the capital improvement plan as we were going into a year with significant loss of revenue. And I still feel that way. However, I could be convinced or inclined to perhaps just vote on parsing the project into 2 with the restaurant or the restrooms and the 1 changing station on the north side there. But I think having that many just changing rooms on the south side is probably unnecessary, especially in a year in which building materials are way overpriced. In the next year or 2, we'll see that come back down to normal pricing. So, I'd be inclined to defer the entire project a year or 2, or parse it out just to the 2 restrooms and changing room on the north side.
Thank you, Ed. I firmly believe that if you had attended the Boardwalk and Beach Committee meetings and dealt with people that needed the use of family restrooms, that you would agree with the Boardwalk and Beach Committee, the necessity, and that sooner is better than later for that. Kevin Williams, are you saying that in your bid tabulations, you're not able to calculate how much the changing rooms on the south could be deducted from there?
I would just say I can't do that sitting right here. Could it be done? Yes. So we could get a better accurate estimate of what.
Okay. Because I thought I heard you say it might need to go back to bid, but.
Yeah.
Well, I think it would if we're going to wait a year or 2 to do one this year and one the following year.
Oh, but we would have the capability of dividing the project into north and south perhaps and be able to proceed this year without rebidding if we just did the north side.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Commissioner Gay?
Well, yeah, that was my question. So we don't have, if we cut something out now, we do not have to rebid right now, correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, and just to clarify, we're going from 6 changing rooms to 1? If we cut out the north side, right?
Yes. Well, if
Okay.
you cut out the
South
south side,
South
Funland
side,
side,
right.
you'd have the 2 family restrooms and 1 changing room.
You know,
What's in the
I
middle?
have mixed feelings about it because, first of all, this project has been in the works for several years, and I think it's sorely needed. And I also, as you were presenting it, it reminded me that the last improvements that were done here a couple years ago, wasn't there like some huge savings over what we budgeted, because it ended up being not a smaller project, but there ended up being some work that wasn't necessary. And I know we probably can't just go with that because they were in different budget years, but that was a significant reduction of what was budgeted, right?
That's correct. When we did what we called the spruce up of the 3 facilities 2 years ago, it did come in considerably under budget.
Yeah, so that's kind of, you know, I'm looking at that and thinking, well, we're kind of going to come out even with if you look at the totality of it. But you know, I don't mind reducing them. I don't know if there's any interim between any difference, any option besides doing 6 and 1. You know, whether there could be a few on the 3 or something instead of 1. 1 does not seem like enough. Especially, another thing I'm reminded of is that, you know, if we want people to stay in town and have other options and go shop and go eat, then, you know, just like we're doing the 12-hour meters, I mean, this gives them ways to stay in town if they come in for the day, if they're not staying overnight. So, you know, I kind of like the idea of being able to give people that option.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Legree?
Yeah, we need to remember that 2 of the changing rooms that we're getting rid of are family changing rooms, which are the most pressing need of
Right.
all of our changing rooms. Changing rooms are cheaper to make, or cheaper to build by a little bit than our restrooms. But I would love to hear from Bert, from our CFO, about how tough it's going to be to find this money. If we're short of money, well, yeah, then let's rethink it. Although, would love to see the bottom line on just exactly how much we're saving.
Mayor, may I chime in here?
Yes, ma'am. Sharon Lynn is on the line.
Go for it. I can't see your hand, Sharon. I can hear your speeding Porsche, but I can't see your hand.
I'm actually driving a Ford Dam. So I would ask the mayor and commissioners to consider delaying this project, and here's why. This has been vetted by the Beach and Boardwalk Committee ad infinitum, many, many years. We know we need changing rooms. People complain all the time. There's no place to change. They change in their vehicles. They change out in public. And we want it done correctly. And family restrooms, of course, we need family restrooms. So because of the state of affairs right now, because we never had them, changing rooms or family restrooms, for the years that we've had facilities on the boardwalk, I don't see any harm other than, you know, we're not appeasing the public, and we're not providing these services. But I do not see any harm, especially since we don't know where we will be in the summer season of 2021, in delaying the project altogether, bidding it out at a time when hopefully costs will be less expensive, and just going along with what we have now. As far as finding the money, I venture to say that Mr. Dukes would not find the money without the city manager approving that. I do not like that, to find the money for this particular project. We're in month 7 of the fiscal year. We still don't know where we are, although I can say on a positive side, I think my hope is that we'll be better than where we initially projected, with a decrease of revenue in the parking. We still don't know where we are. And I think it's very difficult, at least from my standpoint, to give the go-ahead on this project in 7 months into the budget, into the fiscal year. And my preference, of course, would be to delay that.
Thank you, Sharon. Commissioner Gossett?
Yes, I try to make this as simple as possible. I think this could fall into the categories of a decision between needs and wants. And I really think that this is falls in currently, based on our financial position in the city, of a wants project. It, as the city manager said, this is not something that we are replacing. This would be an addition to our services that are currently provided to our guests. So it's not as if they are missing it. This would be an enhancement. And I think that depending on where we end up with the budget at the end of the year, going to budgeting processes, that this would be something that could be certainly a priority for the next fiscal year. But I just think that this is more of a wants than a needs. Now, we've wanted it for quite some time, but to be practical about it, do we really need it at this particular time? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Srnowski?
Yeah, Mayor, I just, I'll say again, I agree with the assessment that the city manager made. It's not to say that I couldn't be convinced to do half the project now. But I look at this and I also, if I'd rather see another family restroom and 2 family changing rooms, on the south side instead of 3 individual changing rooms. So there's other things that I'd rather see that were different in this, that some additional time would allow to happen. But it's also not lost on me. Commissioner Gay made a fantastic point that, at a time where we've got people visiting our city and we've got longer meter restrictions in terms of it being up to 12 hours, it is nice for families to have a place to freshen up after the beach so they can go out to dinner and walk around town. And that's not lost on me. But, like Commissioner Gossett just said, there's a difference between need and want. And at a time, and the most important aspect of this for me is we're being overcharged because we're in the middle of the pandemic for building supplies. And it just doesn't seem to be a good use of money. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'd like to insert that based on my trips to the 19 boardwalk towns in New Jersey, where most of them have family restrooms already, and seeing how the correspondence the Boardwalk and Beach Committee received from constituents asking or requesting, demanding family restrooms, I do classify it as a need rather than a want. I think it's needed. It's long overdue. The people at the kiosk, where do they direct people now? They direct them to Gus and Gus's bathroom. And that's not right. And I asked for last year that if we couldn't have done it last year for the summer, to at least create something so that we can direct people to, whether it's part of that hybrid restroom in the rear of the Delaware Avenue facility, or something to be able to direct people to a family restroom facility on a temporary basis. I was extremely disappointed we didn't do that last year. And if we defer this on this year, I would again make stress and make that request. Commissioner Legree?
I too am extremely disappointed. We've talked about this and we've talked about it, and we just keep delaying it. And the Delaware Avenue restrooms are the most southern restrooms in Rehoboth Beach. So everybody from Delaware all the way to Prospect, all those beaches have to go to the Delaware Avenue restrooms. And we don't have property. We don't have land to make more restrooms on the south end right now. So that's one thing. The second thing is, if we don't have the money to do this, I'm not sure why we're talking about it. I'm just confused at what we're doing or how we're going about it. Rather than scope down the project, I would reluctantly have to look at it for the next year's budget. Concerning building materials, anyone who thinks that building materials are going to drop in price in the upcoming years, needs to rethink it. I don't think we'll ever see much of a drop in building materials prices. Yeah, thanks a lot. I think my final thought is, if we don't have the money, we can't consider this. And it sounds to me from the city manager that we don't have the money. So,
Mayor, may I say something?
Yes, ma'am. Sharon Lynn, city manager.
I apologize. Right after I spoke, my phone dropped off. I sincerely apologize. I'm not able to join you in person. So I didn't hear what was said other than what Commissioner LeGree just said. Are you able to repeat that, Mayor?
Did you hear my comments?
No, I did not.
My comments were based on touring New Jersey towns and seeing all the family restrooms and understanding how many people came to us asking for family restrooms in the city. That I classified our family restrooms as needs, not wants, and that I mentioned that last year I had requests for the past summer that if we were not able to facilitate these last year, which of course we didn't, then my desire was to have temporary family restrooms somewhere so that we could point people to, and I was disappointed we didn't, and I would be disappointed again this year if we did defer this program and not have at least temporary family restroom facilities to point people to. Commissioner LeGree, you want to summarize your points for city manager again real quick?
I did hear them, Mayor. I did hear
Okay.
Commissioner.
Okay. All right.
I might just add that a month ago we were hoping that we could do this for 210,000, and obviously that's not happening. I haven't run the numbers to see, because I don't know what our revenue looks like right now compared to what it looked like a month ago. But I'm just going to have to go with what the city manager and Bert calculate. I mean, I don't have any way to know any different. But if 397,000 is a lot different than 210,000, so I can understand Stronowski and everybody's opinion. Thanks.
So,
Thank you.
Mayor, may I?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So it is significant, Commissioner LeGree, and that's the only reason I'm making this point, because the commissioners did approve the items that we placed back into the CIP, including the Delaware Avenue restrooms. All I'm saying is, at a significant increase in cost, we need to revisit those numbers. I'm not prepared to do that with you today. I certainly can come back to you on Friday and give you some new perspective on that, to see where we could, and if you wish, to proceed. My hesitation, of course, is with the pandemic, the continuing pandemic, the word that we just heard from the governor, we're dropping backwards. And I have a huge concern as, the placing additional burden on the budget with the additional costs. So I guess what I'm saying is if you can wait until Friday, at least you're discussing it now, I can come back to you with some better, more intelligent, information.
Thank you. Anything else, Commissioner LeGree?
No, I'm looking forward to Public Works Director Williams's comparisons on just how much we would save by dropping out the south side changing rooms. But
Thank you. Thank you
yeah.
very much. Commissioner Gossett?
Yes, just a point, and Mr. Williams could address this possibly on Friday also. It's just I have a concern with splitting the project, postponing half of it, if you will, that it may not be the same contractor, different materials available, different quality of workmanship, those types of things that concern me about postponing half of the project so that you have consistency in the appearance of the completed project on both the north and the south side. And then also, is there an estimated date, that the last date that we could offer this for bid, to approve the bid? So if we could look at, perhaps we get a little more information on our budget, either by Friday or in the next 3 to 5 weeks, that we could also make a decision later than right now on this proposal?
Commissioner, I can certainly let you know specifically on Friday what the drop dead date was.
Okay.
It's not in the 3 to 5 weeks time. If you'll recall, we actually got authorization to go ahead and advertise this one earlier because of the construction time it takes to actually do the work in order to get it finished before next season.
And could you remind me of kind of what that period of time would be for construction?
I can on Friday. I think it was 130 some days or so.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Construction days. So, but I can give you that information on Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Byrne?
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple of comments, and they're not intended to contradict each other, because a lot of valid comments have been made by the commissioners the last several minutes of discussion. And I think they're all, in many ways, they are all valid, despite the fact that they could sound contradictory. But I look forward to the discussion on Friday, because if we do not have the funds, and with the huge unknown for the upcoming summer season, 2021, that becomes a real concern for me with our budget situation. A huge unknown, particularly after listening to the governor today and seeing what's going on in Delaware and surrounding states and across the country. The other comment is that, we've talked about this for a long time, and we've heard from several residents who do impress me and have convinced me that this is a real need, that family assistance restrooms are an important need. They're not just a want, they're not just something nice to have, but this is something that families, and not just the guests, because we've heard from residents as well who have had family members here in Rehoboth Beach, and they run into some serious situations because we have not had family assistance restrooms. So it is something that if we can't do this year for financial, then I think we absolutely have to prioritize this for the near future after the 21 season. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gay?
Yeah, I completely agree with what Commissioner Byrne just said, and Mayor, with what you said earlier about the need for the family restrooms. I completely concur with that, and this has been in the works several years. I agree with something that Commissioner LeGree said earlier about the price of lumber. I think we cannot expect it to come down in the short term, certainly. I mean, maybe in a few years, but I think we're going to be paying the price for a lot of, pandemic related expenses for several years to come, and we should not look for that in the short run. Having said that, though, it does seem like there are a number of variables that we will know more about with the presentation on Friday, with some revised numbers that may help us make a better decision. So I'm eager to hear those and to have the discussion on Friday.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mayor.
Commissioner Tarnowski, go ahead.
Yeah, so the one thing that we've not asked of Kevin is what the temporary options are for next season. Like you've requested that we at least have if we defer this. So maybe Kevin could speak to what temporary options there are. I think we have looked at them in the past, and if he would be able to have any additional information on pricing by Friday as well, I think that would help in us making a final decision.
You want to defer on responding till Friday, or?
Sure, I priced up some. I mean, we did a lot of research last 2 4th of Julys ago with temporary versus Port Johns and the like. So we'll have something better on Friday that we can share.
Thank you very much. I think Friday will be a very important meeting because I think having the funding available to do this is tantamount to whether we can or not. And also at that time, I think we need to be mindful that depending on how long this pandemic lasts, it's liable to impact our revenue stream into a year or 2 years ahead of time. And we've got other projects in the pipeline also that might have to be held back or something. So we'll get to this back again on Friday of this week. With that, Carol Everhart, will you have any comments on either of the bid results for water meter or Delaware Avenue Comfort Station?
Mayor, thank you. I'll just add or confirm that changing rooms or family rooms are something that our visitor often does ask about or ask for.
All right, thank you very much, Carol. With that, we're going to go to the third item on our agenda for the special meeting, and that is to continue discussions and seek to finalize policies for alternate dining opportunities, such as, by example, on-sidewalk dining during pandemic conditions beyond March 31st, 2021. I would like to take a pause real quick to identify some of the staff that I forgot to identify earlier in the meeting. In the room with me are City Solicitor Glenn Mandalis. Driving back from a trip is Sharon Lynn. We have Kevin Williams, Chief Banks, Max Hamby, Evan Miller, Dennis Jenny, and Howard. Mr. Howard. I don't know his name. My apologies. They're all here and participating as well. I would like to begin this discussion with, before we begin with introductory comments from the governor's press conference that was held earlier today. Governor Carney indicated that he's had to make difficult decisions, but we face difficult and challenging winter coming ahead. Today, the governor announced additional restrictions statewide to slow community spread of COVID as Delaware and the country experience a surge of cases, hospitalizations, and deaths heading into the winter months. The restrictions will be formally issued in an emergency order later this week. Some of these emergency restrictions that take effect Monday, November 23rd include, but are not limited to, indoor gatherings in homes must be capped at no more than 10 people. Indoor gatherings outside of homes must be limited to 30% of the venue's stated fire capacity up to a capacity of 50 people. This includes all events such as weddings, funerals, services, in-houses of worship, performances, political gatherings, and events in public spaces, including fire halls. Outdoor public gatherings are limited to 50 people, although up to 250 may be allowed with a plan by the Delaware Division of Public Health. Restaurants must operate at no more than 30% of fire capacity indoors, with allowances for additional outdoor seating. Governor Carney's order also prohibits Delaware youth sport and sets certain restrictions on them. I also want to let you know that there is a COVID-19 testing opportunity here tomorrow in our parking lot. Wednesday, November 18th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Last time we had it, I did not see any big lines, so it's a great opportunity to take advantage of the testing. With that, we'll go to our topic for the day, talking about alternative dining opportunities. If you recall, Commissioner Gossett's kind of taking the lead on this conversation. And Patrick, if you would take over and explain that what you did from last meeting to this meeting, please.
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder, this is the city policy regarding the use of outdoor public space after April 1st beyond. We have a current policy in place up until March 31st, where we are addressing the seating outdoors. This will take place beyond that April 1st until the governor's emergency order is either lifted or expanded further with changes. We reached consensus on everything that was presented last week. The only thing that the comment that I received during the week was a request to specifically define the area that the restaurant can expand into. So I added in the document, it's lines 33 through 36, and it's point number 7, and I'll just share it with you. It states, outdoor dining shall be permitted to encroach onto the sidewalk directly in front of the establishment, so long as the dining area does not exceed beyond the side boundaries of the facade of the primary business property and established plan, which is approved by the city manager. This was language that Mr. Jenny and myself developed so that specifically was able to define the area for expansion of dining outside. So that's the only change to all of the other points that we reached consensus on last week.
Thank you, Commissioner. Since we are going to vote on this and formalize it today, it's my expectation. I don't think we need to read it in entirety, especially because as in your footnotes, the underlined areas are already current code. The rest of the, within the policy, all the underlined notes or policies are the new ones. Let's just, if you don't mind, can you read just the new ones? And let's see if there's any questions or clarifications needed further on those. So I guess you would start with item number 6 and do the ones that are not underlined.
Sure. Beginning at line 27, point number 6, current business license holders must submit a completed application for sidewalk dining by February 15th, 2021. Under that, all applications from establishments with liquor licenses, once approved by the city, will then be provided to the Alcohol Beverage Control Commission for their approval. City sidewalk dining permit issuance is dependent on the approval of the ABCC.
I would suggest that if commissioners, as we do these, if you have a question, to please raise your hand and let's do it as we do that. Carol, I'll go about halfway through and let you comment in 2 sessions. So are we fine with item 6? Go to number 7, Patrick, which you just read. Any questions from the commissioners on number 7? If not, then we'll go to number 8. Go ahead, Patrick.
Number 8, street traffic barriers are to be used to create a pedestrian walkway in parking spaces where the sidewalk pedestrian walkway has been blocked by the sidewalk dining. Any questions or comments further? Number 9, to maintain the health, safety, and welfare of pedestrians, traffic barriers must conform to the City of Rehoboth Beach and DelDOT public safety standards, and only the traffic barriers obtained from the City of Rehoboth Beach may be used. Number 10, traffic barriers will be available beginning April 1st, 2021. Payment for rental of the barriers is at the expense of the sidewalk dining permit holder, and the payment must be received by the city before any barrier is provided to the establishment. The rental cost per barrier will be equal to the cost of the barrier incurred by the city. The city will contract with the business to obtain the best rental cost per traffic barrier. Next points are all part of existing code. Jumping to line 60.16, there shall be no food or beverage preparation on the sidewalk. Line 63.19, sidewalk dining permit area shall close by 11 p.m. and be vacated by 11:30 p.m. Point 20, umbrella shall have a maximum diameter of 8 feet and must have a weighted base. Point 21, tents and canopies without sides may be used on city property if approved in advance by the city manager. Point 22, the sidewalk dining permit shall not be in effect unless and until the applicant files with the city a certificate of liability insurance confirming that the applicant has procured a policy of commercial general liability insurance issued by an insurance company authorized to do business in the state of Delaware. The policy shall provide in substance that the insurer will defend against all claims and lawsuits which arise and will pay any final judgment of a court of competence jurisdiction against the city, its officers, agents, or employees. The insurance shall provide coverage in the amount of not less than $1 million for each single occurrence. The policy of issuance shall name both the applicant and the city as insured parties to the full amount of the policy limits. If the policy is not kept in force and effect throughout the term of the sidewalk dining permit, the permit may be terminated by the city upon providing written notice of termination to the applicant. Point 23, the sidewalk dining permit shall not be in effect unless and until the applicant files with the city a complete and valid waiver of indemnification agreement. Point 24, the city code enforcement officer will be responsible for monitoring and assuring compliance and reporting findings to the city manager, mayor, and commissioners. Point 25, exceptions upon the demonstration of need or hardship may be granted in writing by the city manager.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that. I'd like everybody to go back and look at the title of this document. This is a city policy regarding use of public outdoor space, April 1, 2021, until governor's emergency order is lifted. Just to be mindful that we're now in a particular time frame from November 1st to March 31st, 2021, where we have our own policy in effect that remove the barriers and push the dining tables, while allowed, up against the restaurant storefronts. I've got the chief of police, city solicitor, and building and licensing in the room. I'd like to poll each to make sure that you all have read it and see if you all have any questions. Glenn, do you have any comments or questions on this? I know we added insurance requirements and clarified some other things.
Yeah, no, Commissioner Gossett reached out to me as new ones came up. They thought I'd have some input, and so I'm good as it stands now.
Very good. Thank you. Chief Keith Banks?
No, I think it's good as it stands. First thing I was looking at was line number 9, where it said conform to City of Rehoboth Beach and Delaware public safety standards. And I was just making sure our ADA compliance was in there, but that's in line number 18, so I think we're good.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Building and licensing, we have Howard and Dennis. Either one of you, you can give me a thumbs up or speak.
Yeah, no, it all looks good to us.
Okay, so building and licensing, you concur, Howard, that everything is fine with this. So again, this is not the first time we've seen these components of the policy, except for that one piece. And everybody's looked at it. We have the concurrence. Sharon, do you want to give a thumbs up as well?
Mayor, I'm good with everything that's in the ordinance.
Very good. Thank you very much, Sharon. With that, we'll go to Carol Everhart. I'm sorry I didn't stop halfway like I said I would.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it is good as proposed.
Short and sweet. Thank you very much, Carol. We appreciate your comments and input throughout this process. With that, I would entertain a motion to adopt the city policy regarding the use of public outdoor space, April 1, 2021, until governor's emergency order lifted as presented and dated November 16, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion to adopt the city policy as noted, and a second by Commissioner Byrne. With that, I'd like to take a roll call vote. Commissioner Legree?
I vote aye. April 1st is only 120 days. It's time to move forward.
Very good, thank you. Commissioner Gossett?
Aye.
Commissioner Gay?
Aye.
Commissioner Byrne?
I vote aye, and I want to thank Commissioner Gossett for his weeks of work on this and his collaboration with the other city teammates.
Thank you. And Commissioner Sranowski?
I vote aye, Mayor, but I would like to just make a statement that this is not my preferred option, but because barring any support for street cafes, I will support this as another option, but I am very concerned about taking pedestrians off of the sidewalk where they belong and having a zigzag walkway where people are going up and down curbs. And again, I think those orange barriers are not as aesthetically pleasing if we allowed restaurants to build platforms with wood and planters in parking spots in front of their shops, as well as I think it is unfair to retail and other businesses that are going to inadvertently have a walkway in front of them rather than pedestrians right upside of their storefront. So I just want to mention that in my vote. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And the mayor votes aye, so the motion to adopt the city policy as presented is approved unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you, Carol, for participating. As far as the next item of business, scheduled next meeting, I would like to actually, if you recall at the last meeting, I charged the city manager to work with Patrick Gossett, Building and Licensing, to develop a draft post-pandemic policy for outdoor dining alternatives. And I would like to give them till December 2nd, a little extra time to be able to prepare that draft policy that we will use as a foundation for future discussions, which means that the meeting anticipated for Tuesday, November 24th is not going to happen. Let's reconvene Tuesday, December 2nd at 3 o'clock. With that, if there's any more comment from the commissioners?
I think you mean December 1st, Tuesday, December 1st.
Tuesday, December 1. Yes, sir. Thank you. Commissioner Legree, did you have a comment?
Go ahead, Dick, and I can comment after Dick.
Okay, thank you. Just before we get into post-pandemic at our next meeting, Mayor, I'd like to continue some current pandemic discussion for when we get into the April 1 and ongoing season, to talk about concepts like Meterless Monday, to do some analysis of that, and if there's other incentives, other ideas that we may want to bring forth for consideration. Thank you.
We'll do that and start off the meeting December 1 with that, Dick. Thank you for reminding me. Commissioner Legree?
Yeah, we have a brand new announcement from Moderna that they also have completed a successful phase 3. They have also used messenger RNA, which is easy to make. It's quick to make. It's just incredibly difficult, the technology. The great thing about Moderna, and we all need to hear this, they can store the vaccine for 30 days, as opposed to Pfizer, who could only store their vaccine for 5 days because of the extreme cold temperature. So we have, plus, Moderna had 30,000 test people. Only 95 got COVID-19, and those are ones who hadn't been vaccinated. Whereas, in the double-blind study, whereas the Pfizer had 9 people get COVID-19 who had been vaccinated. But these are incredible success stories, and we might as well end on some good news. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Commissioner Sernowski,
Yeah,
and
Mayor,
then Commissioner Byrne.
thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to mention, since we're moving forward with the barriers, I'm asking Rehoboth Beach Main Street to see if they can get a grant through some of the various organizations to help defer the costs for actual businesses that will utilize them. So no guarantees, but hopefully they're able to find some money to help pay for those barriers.
Thank you. Commissioner Byrne, did you have your hand up?
Oh, no, I made my comment
Nope.
earlier.
You're good. All right. Sharon, did you have an additional comment to make?
Mayor, I just wanted to request that Dennis or Howard speak about their, on a positive note again, just their experience over the weekend.
All righty. We'll have Code Enforcer Dennis Jenny. Just.
Okay, yeah, hi, so code enforcement, Howard and myself came in on Saturday. We spent 4 hours in town in the commercial district, because previously in the week, we received some concerns that some of the restaurants were, overbooking or over their occupancy levels. During those 4 hours, we had visited every restaurant that was open. We also visited retailers for occupancy. And out of all of the sites we went to, we had an issue with only one restaurant. And the issue was being that they had tables too close and there were people sitting about a foot apart. They quickly remedied that. I think it's a little misleading when you go into a restaurant. We were almost sure when we went to one that they were going to be over their occupancy level. But when they have their table spread apart and they're full, they're not. We counted, their requirement was 144 occupant level, and we counted 50 folks in the restaurant. So it's a little misleading, I think. Other than that, walking around town, we had only confronted 5 individuals for not wearing masks, and each one of them were from out of state. And we're surprised that they had to wear a mask, out in the open. But we explained to them the rules, and they were more than willing to comply with it and didn't have any attitude.
Very good. Thank you. Commissioner Sernowski, you have additional comments?
No,
Nope, your hand's up. We'll take your hand down. If there's no other comments, I'll thank you. We'll see each other again December 1st. In this